Well, hello and welcome to Bowtie Life. Please subscribe if you have not done so already. We talk about all kinds of things, mostly life in the garden, and this is about the USDA growing zone. So let's get right on to it. Hi, I'm Bowtie Dave. So I've talked frequently about our location on the peninsula that holds Destin, Florida. And I mentioned this bay behind me. This is the Choctawhatchee Bay. And it is a pretty large body of water. And it actually helps control the weather in Destin. And the new USDA zones came out earlier this month on the 15th. And it's kind of exciting to see what they've done. Not totally sure I completely agree, but as I've always suspected, our growing zone didn't go up a half a step, but a full step. That kind of surprised me, but once I saw it, I was like, well, okay, that makes sense. So growing zones. Growing zones has to do with the mean low temperatures for an area. And the thing is, over there, can you see that little line of horizon over there? That would be Niceville, Florida over there. And over in Niceville, it gets cold in the winter and they get frost and other things. Well, once you come across this body of water, which is to the south of them, the wind comes from that direction, comes across this water. The water is not colder than the air in the middle of the winter. The water is actually warmer than the air. So the air coming across this water in a straight line, mind you, is getting warmed up over the water. So by the time it gets here, chances are we're not going to have a frost over here, which really does change our growing conditions over here a lot. Now, I want to talk about well, first off, let's just look at a map here where we can see kind of where this is located. We're in the panhandle of Florida. You can see here's Niceville. And here in this peninsula over here is going to be Destin. And you can see the growing zones here. We've got 9A and 9B. And this used to all be 8B, all just flat out 8B. And that was from a map that was very old, but they've updated things, which is very cool. I'm very happy about this, though I do question the logic of putting the zone 9A along the Choctawhatchee Bay and 9B over here in the middle and down here. Now, okay, so it's very weird. Look here at this. This is Christmas of last year, and this is the Destin Executive Airport. Now, the Destin Executive Airport is right near where the camera is sitting right now. In fact, behind the camera, it is about 2 blocks over there. In fact, you can hear the planes taking off from the runway, which kind of runs crossways here. But you'll hear the planes taking off from that airport. But that's where this reading is from on this temperature chart from Weather Underground. And you can see it got down to 22 degrees on Christmas Eve 2022. Well, my house is a few blocks away, in fact, a little over a mile away from the airport, and it's farther inland. This is the interesting thing that kind of blows me away. Can you hear that jet right now? So the Eglin Air Force Base is just right over there, that horizon over there, and then the bomb range is just off of screen. In fact, I can turn and you can see the bridge back over behind that little house right there. That just the other side of that bridge on the other side is where they set off bombs and practice their artillery. Anyway, so on Christmas Day, our house recorded 18 degrees. And I thought that was interesting. I thought maybe my thermometer wasn't that accurate. Well, the reason why I came here to this location is because on that day, this property, which we're just not very far from, we're just blocks from the airport, we're another mile or so to our house, but over here, they didn't have a freeze. In fact, they might have got down to 30 degrees on the property that we're standing on, right at the water's edge. And this is a perfect example of microclimates. This water affects the temperature right here. Now let me tell you something. When it blows cold, it really blows cold out of the north here. I've worked, in fact, we're sitting on a deck that I rebuilt as a handyman, and it was a cold time. So anyway, if we look back here at this map, you can see this is the direction the wind would come out of the north. It comes across the water. It will actually warm up as it hits this first edge. But what I think is happening is wind doesn't just blow at the surface of the water. It blows 100 feet up, 1,000 feet up. This blowing wind is a very tall, massive wind, and I have a feeling that once it hits the trees on this property, in fact, let me just spin you around here and show you the trees on this property. They're huge. And I think that once it starts hitting the trees on this property, that it starts mixing up the air. So suddenly it gets cooler and cooler. And so suddenly over at the airport, it's 8 degrees colder. You get another mile in, more of that air is starting to get mixed in, and it's then, what's that, 14 degrees cooler than it was here. If this was 30, let's say it was 30 degrees, which is -2 Celsius. But anyway, just the microclimate from this water's edge, just a few blocks over that way to the south, then about a mile further to the southwest, maybe southwest. The weather changes, and you really got to pay attention. It's one of the reasons why it's a good idea to have your own weather station of some kind. I'm planning on getting one soon, but start recording your temperature. Get something that you can record temperatures year after year, and that really helps you pick out what you're going to be growing. Now, these growing zones, they're not really applicable to vegetable gardens, because vegetable gardens are annuals. Those only live for a season or two. My peppers live more than that if the winter is not too cold, and I'm hoping that my pepper patch will survive this winter. I'm pretty sure it will. I don't think it's going to be as cold as last winter. But anyway, that's just microclimates. The new maps are out on the USDA growing zone map, and there's a link. I'll put a link in the description to the map itself. You can look up your area and see what your new growing zone is. And so one thing about this map is each zone is about 10 degrees difference on mean low temperature. Not average, but mean. And I know there's a difference there. I can't think of what the difference is. But it's the mean low temperature. And so zone 9 is 10 degrees warmer than zone 8. But we break up those zones into half zones, and those half zones are 5-degree temperature differences. So anyway, just wanted to touch base on this real quick and just show you. Oh, I am going to show you one other thing. One of the biggest things that blew me away. This is the biggest evidence that this property right here didn't freeze nearly as much as our property did. So you've seen on my garden tours our grape arbor and the grapes that we're harvesting or just have harvested. Not very many because they're young vines, but these are actually the grapevines that those came from. But that's not the thing I wanted to show you. What I want to show you here is, can you see what's growing up here over my shoulder? There's grapefruits, and these grapefruit survived that freeze. In fact, this tree has no stress on it because the air here, not very far from the water, about 200 feet from the water, was a lot warmer on Christmas Eve than it was over at our house. And even at our house, you've seen our neighbor's tree. His looks okay. Mine is really in bad shape. But his is so much better because it was protected by his house. Mine was not. It was protected by a fence that wasn't quite enough to protect it, obviously. But anyway, so yeah, we're not very far from the bow tie gardens right now. But this grapefruit tree looks beautiful, and so I may have to come over here and get some cuttings from this and try to grow my own someday. Again, if I have to replace them, though it won't be on rootstock, so I may have to just break down and buy me a new one. But anyway, so that is just a little bit about microclimates, something to keep in mind as you're planning your garden and figuring out what to grow for perennials, things that grow year after year. Normally when you buy them, it'll tell you on the perennial, on the tag, what zones it will grow in. And so you can use those as a guide to what you're going to put in your garden for perennials and so forth. But anyway, I just wanted to mention a short video about growing zones and microclimates, and just some interesting things that I think are interesting about this zone that we're in, and how things change by not very much distance. Things just change drastically. And you know, if you're living on the side of a mountain or in a valley, you know how things are different from the top of the mountain down to the bottom of the mountain. Valleys tend to hold the cool, so a valley could get frost. Top of the mountain may never get frost. To me, it's just very fascinating. Mrs. Bowtie and I watch a lot of weather, and I just really am fascinated by what we see around us. So anyway, please subscribe if you have not subscribed already. We just finished our garden tours for the month of November 2023, and go back and see what's growing in our garden. Maybe one day I'll actually take a tour of this garden. I don't know. Would you like to see that? Put in the comments if you'd like to see a tour of this just incredible garden. This is a very old garden. It's being built for many years. And it's beautiful. So anyway, yeah, let me know in the comments if you'd like to see maybe a tour of this garden. Yeah, please subscribe. Those of you who have subscribed, you're my heroes. We're trying to get to our next goal for the channel, and those of you who have subscribed, you have been a huge part of that. And we still need more subscribers, and we'll get there, but it just takes a little bit of time. If you thought this was interesting, entertaining, inspirational, or educational, please click the thumbs up on this video, share it on your social media, and yeah, that's about it. Y'all have a blessed day. So I've talked frequently about the fact that we have airports all around us,